Says we're good. How's everybody doing? Well, I think I woke John up. How are you? Glad you guys could come tonight. It is a little after 6 o'clock, so we will get started. We don't have a young'un because of fall break, so I will call this meeting to order, and we will do our declaration of quorum, so we'll call the roll.
Matthews.
Here.
Ingalls. Flood.
Here.
Bolt.
Here.
Rutherford.
Here.
Seahorn.
Here.
Salter. We have a quorum.
All righty, thank you very much. Invocation is going to be done by our Commissioner Flood.
Father God, we thank you for today, God. We just thank you for the amazing rains that we had last week, God, and all the just the nourishment and things that it brings back to the ground, God. And just as we try to continue to be intentional about the things that you give us, God, the blessings, God, I just ask that we focus on loving each and every member of this community to the best of our abilities, God. Thank you for the hard work of the staff and the amazing employees of the city of Shawnee, God. Thank you for each and every one of us citizens. God, please be with the individuals up here tonight and all of the presentations. God, we thank you and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, sir. Do the flag salute. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, item 1 is citizens' participation. Same rules as always, 3 minutes per person, 12 minutes per topic. Our city attorney will be timekeeper for us, and he'll let us know when we get to 3 minutes, and we would ask you to wrap up then. We will not answer any questions at that point. If you stick around for commissioners' comments, you may hear some comments at that time. I have 2 names tonight. Rob Morris is first, so Mr. Morris, if you come forward, the microphone is yours. How are you tonight?
Pretty good.
Very good.
Tonight, all I've got is the ordinance about the panhandling. There's some litigation up in Oklahoma City on something that's eerily similar to that. It's cost them millions of dollars so far, so I'm kind of curious about that one. I don't see anything about the homeless coordinator. If we got a new one, I know there's a lot of people talking about the fellow from Johns Hopkins that we're already getting that. So who's in charge of the homeless and who's in charge of the money? Again, Franklin School, since we know that's going to be some sort of homeless shelter or day center or something, there's no talk of that. Where's the grant funds? Where's an update on that? Budgeting for analysis of the homeless. I think a lot of people, even like myself, thought that nothing was probably going to happen for 6 months to a year on the homeless thing. I mean, I know it takes time to get a database and get it all worked out, so 3 months is a little short. Next, the lake committee. Still no answer, so there's at least 2 members of the lake committee here tonight, so I'd kind of like an answer. Is it a public committee or not? Is the public allowed to be there? Next, all this bike stuff kind of sounds like bike lanes is coming back. Just have a sneaking suspicion about that. It's only my opinion. And last, Santa Fe Depot. We're doing the expo center. We already have the money from the 1 cent sales tax. So why are we not doing the depot? And with that, thank you for your time.
All righty, thank you, sir. All righty, I have one more. I hope it's Anna Owens. How are you, Anna?
Good, how are you?
Very well.
Thank you for having me. My name is Anna Owens. I work for a company, Dollar Tree, here in Shawnee.
Right.
I've been in Shawnee now almost 4 years. I've noticed the homeless population is quite big. I've done personal things as giving carts to some of them. Right now, a shopping cart theft it's outrageous. I just took over this store. We had 20 shopping carts. I am down to 11, and only 9 of them work. There is a lady named Vicky who has taken them, spray painted them, brought them back. It's just, we've got poles. I put them on our shopping carts. They're still stealing them. It's not just Dollar Tree. It's happening with Homeland, Family Dollar, Dollar General, Walmart. I live at Chapel Ridge Apartments, and I'm always seeing shopping carts in there. I find them around behind businesses, houses, all along the street. There needs to be something done about this. Someone needs to be held accountable for these people aren't taking the initiative to bring it back. It's costing companies lots of money to try to replace these things. And in return, it's also hurting our business because customers don't want to come in because they can't take the shopping carts out now with poles being in place. That's all I have for you.
Okay, thank you very much. All righty, item 2 is consider approval of consent agenda. Is there anything you guys see you need to pull off of consent agenda? And if not, anyone would like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, sir. And Darren. So we have a motion and a second for approval of item 2, the consent agenda. We'll call the question. And item passes 5-0. Item 3 should be our presentation of animal control to present Pet of the Week. I think we got a bigger one this week.
Hi, I'm Brandy from Animal Welfare. This is Wendy. And we brought tonight with us our pet of the week is Mojo. She is about 4 or 5 years old. She needs to be the only pet. She gets very jealous. Her adoption fee be $40, including the city tag. Currently at the shelter, we have 31 dogs, 4 cats. And since the last meeting, we have had 15 adoptions and 2 reclaims. We have an adoption event coming up. It's being sponsored by Huntington Jewelry. It'll be on October 30th from 10 to 4. It's going to be called Barktober. And you can get updates as they come in from our Facebook page.
And will that be held at the Jewelers?
Yes, it will be.
Okay, very good.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All righty. Item 4 is the discussion and presentation of services offered by CityWorks. And Brad Schmidt's going to do the presentation, I understand, but I think we're going to dim the lights so everybody can see the video. He said he did not bring popcorn, but there's lots of cookies and water back there. You guys make yourself, you're welcome to eat those. You got to eat them because we don't want to take them home. All righty, Brad, it's all yours.
Good data leads to better decision making. It helps communities identify opportunities, prepare for emergencies, and improve quality of life. Data often sits in siloed databases or clumsy spreadsheets. Creating reports and turning them into actionable insights can sometimes feel impossible. That's why we created CityWorks. CityWorks is the original GIS-centric asset management solution designed to fully leverage your organization's investment in ESRI's ArcGIS database. It's more than just inspections, work orders, and managing permits. CityWorks integrates your data, teams, community, and systems together to help improve community management from top to bottom. Our open platform uses GIS intelligence to help you manage, visualize, and understand your complex data. CityWorks is built exclusively on ArcGIS, providing a system of record that allows you to easily track and visualize every asset. You can monitor maintenance schedules, equipment use, labor costs, permitting workflows, asset conditions, and risk assessment in real time on a single centralized platform. Bringing this data to your fingertips allows you to streamline fieldwork, warehouse inventory, customer feedback, and stakeholder insights both on-site and remotely. With CityWorks and ArcGIS, your community is empowered with scalable solutions that provide better data, better insights, and better decisions. Through improved operations, CityWorks helps you achieve efficient and sustainable growth to keep your community safe, resilient, and thriving.
There are many more videos on YouTube concerning CityWorks. Check them out. They're very interesting. Slideshow, but so
Whoa.
We've looked at several platforms. CityWorks is the industry leader. They offer the most complete package out of all of them. CityWorks started by field employees, so the ease of use is it's very easy to use. It's a lot of drop downs. So some of the things that can't really see that slide, but work order management, condition assessment, maintenance and service, accountability, public engagement, capital improvements, emergency management, and regulatory compliance. So this will affect the all public works departments and emergency management as well. This last year we had the two FEMA events, the ice storm in October and then the snowstorm in February. We spent several months after both of those inputting data for reimbursement. This software will allow you to capture that data in real time, generate the report that allows us on the public works side to continue working on water and wastewater, streets, traffic, parks, and allows emergency management to utilize their time more efficiently as well. So another big component of CityWorks is the resident engagement. It works with our current citizen engagement application as well as many others. What this will do is streamline the reporting process. What we have now is a customer may call in with an issue. They may call who they think it is, the department that's responsible, and they're transferred around 3 or 4 times, or there's a message left that people don't get or respond. This allows real-time reporting. Customers, business owners, passerbys, they can report right off their cell phone, take a picture of the issue, and it will auto-assign to the correct department. So with the implementation process, if we selected the software, we would sign contracts, have a pre-work kickoff meeting, and the company would customize their templates. They have over 730 templates that they can customize. That's paperless work order systems, preventive maintenance, vehicle maintenance, motors, pumps, everything that you have. They will upload all of our data. So we have spreadsheets, we have Excel spreadsheets, we have Outlook databases, Word documents, hard copies, paper files, all of that. This company will gather all that data from us, put it in one accessible area on that platform that all city employees can access, which will definitely save time and money in researching issues. The integration of applications after that, and then this total process is a 6 to 8 month process. Staff is currently gathering templates, things that we typically use, pump information, things of that nature, and getting it ready in anticipation to hopefully speed that process up. So with CityWorks Premium, you have the ability for 110 users, and the initial cost is $224,860. The majority of that is that implementation, that downloading of or creation of templates and uploading all of our scattered data into one. So for CityWorks itself, that first year is a $48,500 cost, and that gives us up to a 40% discount off the regular rate with that first year. Second year, $63,500, and that's again up to a 20% discount. And then year 3 and moving forward is $78,500 a year. And that's an approximate cost because it is based off of population. So as we grow, there will be a fee or an increase in the fee. So Where we can save, like I say, FEMA reporting. I don't know what our cost in man-hours were between those two storms, but I know it's more than year 3 cost, and it's probably really close to that initial cost of time that we spent citywide gathering all that data and organizing it. Work order creation and handling right now. Work orders are generated through utility billing, then they're hand delivered, hard copies brought over, or gotten. Someone may come over and pick them up. They then fill those out, scan them in, you send them back. There's a lot of time and labor involved in just work order management at this time. With this, once a call is received, it can be auto assigned, or it can be assigned to a truck or a crew in the area, utilizing GPS, and that work order will stay on that device until the employee resolves that issue. So there's no losing work orders. There's no selecting what you want to work on that day. It is assigned to you through our system. Mapping and models. This is an Esri-based model using GIS. So we can track all of our facilities, input all of our facilities citywide, keep up with the maintenance, track maintenance and cost, have actual real-time data and not guesswork for budgeting. The city of Denton, Texas utilizes this. They were doing their process is where we are now, with spreadsheets and best guess, and hey, do you remember where this main break was or where this street issue is? Once they implemented this, their expected budget went from 4.3 million for that year to 2.1 million, just in the accuracy of the data presented. So that's very big. It's a very big savings that you can do with your budgeting, proper information, and the garbage in, garbage out. Capital planning, asset management. We basically do not have a asset management program at this time. It's basically common knowledge or employee-driven data. This will allow you to track all of your assets, track the history, purchase, from purchase to surplus, or to once you get rid of it. All your maintenance, it will give you cost estimates of is it beneficial to continue sinking repair money into it, or is it time to replace it? And that gives you data that finance department, city staff, city manager's office, all involved have actual hard data to look at, not just an employee saying, hey, we need this truck because it's old. So I think I've covered at least most of it. I could talk for hours, but there's mapping. So everything. So if you're in the field and an inaccuracy is noted in our map, the employee can make notes. It will sync overnight with all the tablets, so you have that real-time data that following day, and then staff engineering and our GIS manager can go in and verify that is correct and make adjustments as needed. So accuracy, not having to search for valves, manholes, water lines. We don't landscape of the workforce has changed in the last several years. You don't have all the old timers per se that had the knowledge and knew where things were. You have a lot of new employees that still get the job done. They just don't. They have to look and search more. So, any questions?
Brad, so this is going to encompass all of SMA, basically. It's streets, water, sewer, all of the equipment, everything in that department.
Streets, traffic, Parks and Recreation, Cemetery. Who did I miss? Parks, Recreation, Cemetery, street traffic.
So you,
Emergency management will utilize it also.
so you already have the maps basically for all, like you brought up the looking for valves with all your newer employees that don't know where they were put 20 years ago or 30 years ago. You've got the maps. This will give them access immediately from their vehicle or wherever they are. They know where to go.
Correct. What we face currently with the mapping is someone started it 10 years ago, then they left, and then someone else came in and they said, well, I don't like the way this is, I'm gonna change it, and then accuracy was lost. So we have slowly, engineering and GIS department has helped us present the most accurate map that we do have. But yes, that would give real-time access to every employee in the field at that time. They don't have to call someone. I don't have to run out with a hard copy map book and say this is where it is.
Yeah, they don't have to come back to the barn to search for all the
Correct.
stuff.
Or go bother.
They have it where they are.
Yes, sir. Run to engineering and say, hey, can you stop what you're doing and look through all of your maps and find me this to,
I really like the fact that if I were to, in this instance, last year I came to Chance and was asking about something that was had been brought to my attention, and he said yes, I sent that over to Brad. I'll call him and see where it's at. Well, you were busy, and it was the next day before Chance was able to get a hold of you, and then you said yes, it's on the list. Based on that, Andrea will be able to pull it up and know exactly where the project's at, and not have to pull you off of a job or cause you to answer phone. Things like that. That the efficiency of this is amazing, and I think that will really help individuals know exactly where we're at on the process. But then also the fact that if work orders turned in, it stays with that until it's completed, and then the individual has to check off what was done and move forward versus going, gosh, I'll get to that later. And like you said, the day go by and next thing you know, they're pushed to another spot. It's done, and it's done when it's done. And so that I really like the intentionality and the efficiency of this product.
so in the work order portion, we'll give you actual job cost.
Right.
So you backload rate, salary, all of your inventory control is another huge aspect of this. So the crew that's in the field, they enter their name, how many hours they were there, the parts they used. That will take it out of our inventory if it hasn't been taken out at the inventory building, and then generate or populate an actual job cost that management can see.
Did I hear you say that there'll be like a customer portal so people can report
Yes, sir.
issues? So they can do that basically online, and then it would get routed to the right department to get that taken care of?
Yes, and then instead of the customer having to call numbers, and like you say, if that person is out, if that individual is out of the office, or for whatever reason, they may not get an update for a day or longer. This, if you input if you make a report, you can have real-time notifications available to you through your mobile device.
That's great.
I would assume finance likes that we're going to have job costs and stuff too. It makes it easy for them. Are we proposing to pay for it out of budget or out of savings, like cost savings?
So this was budgeted for this
year?
fiscal year.
Perfect. That's what I thought I heard, but want to make sure. This is another thing that really excites me on top of, the recent lease acquisitions we've had and equipment upgrades. I feel it's vitally important that we give you and your team the ability to do your job well. And this is, it's costly to upgrade all of the stuff, but it's not fair to you guys if you don't have the equipment to do the job. And this is another thing that I think helps you, helps us, helps the citizens. I think it's a great deal. So I'm excited to support it.
Anything else? Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. Item 5 is discussion and consideration of a contract with Blaith Consulting Group and Dunnington Consulting for Governmental and Community Affairs. And Madam City Manager, how are you this evening?
Very good, Mayor and Commissioners. You may remember that we had talked about the Latham Consulting Group back on September 20. At that time, we discussed and an interest was expressed to move forward with a contract. At that time, we did not have the agreement in hand, so we're bringing the agreement to you this evening. Just to remind you, we would like to hire the Latham Consulting Group for their decade of political and community involvement. We're hoping that they will be able to help us accomplish some of our policy goals by advocating for us at the 2022 state legislature. The term for this agreement is 1 year. The cost is $5,000 per year, so for a total cost of $60,000 for 1 year of services. Termination for cause would be 15 days with notice, 45 days without notice if for any reason we're not satisfied with the services that we receive. Staff recommends approval of the agreement, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have.
Gentlemen, any questions? I think it's a good thing. I know I've even talked to some of our state legislature folks, and they're excited about it because they think it'll help them do their job easier and bring money our way. So I think this is a good opportunity.
I just want to clarify, and I may have misheard you, and I apologize, but you're saying that the monthly charge is $5,000 per month?
Per month.
Okay,
Yes.
I thought you said per year.
I think she did.
Yeah, so,
$60,000.
yeah.
60,000 per year.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, very good. We're just making sure, because like I said, I was making sure that was, okay, fantastic.
Anybody? No other questions? Comments? How about a motion?
I move to approve item 5.
All righty, thank you, sir.
No.
Second.
Aaron and Mark. All righty, so we have a motion and a second for approval of item 5. We'll call the question. And motion passes 5-0. Item 6 is discussion and consideration of amendment to an ordinance regulating safe turning movements, signal required for turning, stopping, or decreasing speed. Mr. Bonder is up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. I'll try and cover a little bit of ground here. Items 6 through 12 all kind of fit in the same category. They're all housekeeping items. The state legislature in the last session passed various state statutes or amended various state statutes that update the topics related to items 6 through 12. And these are housekeeping items to bring our code of ordinances up to date with those state statutes, which go into effect November the 1st. And so that's the reasoning behind those. I would be happy to answer any questions relating to specifically to agenda item 6 at this time.
I don't have one so much specific to 6, but I asked you before the meeting, and I just want to do it here publicly, is if we didn't update ours, what would be the downside of that? And
Yeah, it would still be the law of the
Absolutely.
state of Oklahoma due to preemption, as we're aware. The real risk that gets run is if we were to cite under our existing ordinance and the discrepancy in the state law versus our code of ordinance were to be challenged, we would not win, and that citation or offense would ultimately be dismissed. So that's the real world implication.
right, absolutely. Anybody got any other questions, or?
I make a motion we approve item 6.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Daniel and Darren. All right, we have Motion is second, so Mr. City Attorney, you are up, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance amending Chapter 19, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Article 4, Operation of Vehicles of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Shawnee, so as to further comport with state law, Title 47, Section 11-606, providing for severability and declaring an emergency.
All righty, so we have a motion and a second. We will call the question. And that motion passes 5-0. So now we need a motion on the emergency clause.
I make a motion we approve emergency clause for item 6.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
All righty, so we have a motion and a second on the emergency clause. We will call that question. And that passes 5-0. So we'll move on to item 7, discussion and consideration of creation of an ordinance providing regulation and certain exceptions for bicyclists at traffic-controlled devices within city limits. And Mr. Vondran is up again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, same announcement with regard to housekeeping. This is in addition to the state code that we are adding to our code of ordinances to enable officers to enforce within our city courts. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion we
All righty.
approve the change.
Thank you, sir. So Mark,
I'll second.
thank you. All righty, we have a motion and a second, and you're up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance amending Article 8 of Chapter 19 and providing regulations and certain exceptions for bicyclists at traffic control devices within city limits, which shall be added to Chapter 19, Motor Vehicles and Traffic of the City Code, also providing for severability, codification, repealer, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second. We'll call the question on item 7. And that motion passes 5-0. So now we need to deal with the emergency clause.
Make a motion we add emergency clause to item 7.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Daniel and Darren. All righty, so motion and second on the emergency clause. We'll vote on that. And that passes 5-0. Item 8, discussion and consideration of creation of an ordinance providing certain prohibitions and for the safety of bicyclists within the city limits. Mr. Vondran.
And Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, same announcement as agenda item number 7 with regard to this item. Be happy to answer any specific
Absolutely.
questions.
Move to approve.
Move to
Second.
approve. Thank you, sir. Aaron and Daniel. All righty.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance amending Article 8 of Chapter 19, providing certain prohibitions for the safety of bicyclists within the city limits, which shall be added to Chapter 19, Motor Vehicles and Traffic of the City Code, and also providing for severability, codification, and repealer, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second. We will vote on item 8 then. And that passes 5-0. We'll make a motion on the emergency clause.
I'd like to make a motion to enact an emergency clause.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
Travis and Mark. All righty, so we will vote on the emergency clause. And that passes 5-0. Item 9, discussion and consideration of an ordinance amending section 19-219 of the Municipal Code governing horns and warning devices. Mr. Vondran.
And again, Mr. Mayor, this is a modernization of an existing ordinance with relation to horns. Be happy to answer any specific questions.
No. I'd like to make a motion.
Make a motion we approve item 9.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
Daniel and Travis. All right, you're up again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance amending Chapter 19, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Article 5, Equipment, Section 19-219 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Shawnee, so as to further comport with state law, Title 47, Oklahoma Statutes, Section 12-401, providing for severability and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, sir. So we have a motion and a second for approval of item 9. We'll call that question. And that passes 5-0. We'll deal with the emergency clause.
Make a motion, we add emergency clause to item 9.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
Thank you. And we have a motion and a second on the emergency clause. We'll vote on that. And that passes 5-0. Item 10, discussion and consideration of an ordinance amending section 19-184 of the Municipal Code regulating license plate displays.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Same announcement, again, just modernization to comport with state law.
All righty, thank you, sir.
Just for clarification on this one, the state law for this is going to go into effect
November 1st.
New state law, because there's going to be some heartburn in the state over this.
Yes, this one has probably more day-to-day practical applications than the others.
It does.
Yeah.
But you gave us the analogy earlier. If we don't follow state law, what we're going to get into, so we.
Yep.
I have to approve it. Yeah.
Anyone want
Move
to
to
make?
approve 10.
Thank you, sir. Darren and Mark, all righty, you're up again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance amending Chapter 19, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Article 4, Operation of Vehicles, Section 19-184 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Shawnee, so as to further comport with state law, Title 47, Section 1151, providing for severability and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, sir. So we have a motion and a second to approve item 10. We'll call that question. And it passes 5-0. We deal with the emergency clause. You want to make that motion? Mark
I'll second.
and Darren. All righty, motion and a second on the emergency clause. We'll call that question. And that passes 5-0. Item 11, discussion and consideration of an ordinance amending Section 19-292 of Municipal Code regulating persons soliciting rides, donations, employment, or business. And Mr. Bondren, you are up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And again, we've got existing ordinance on the books that deals with this. And really, 11 and 12 are both state actions and as a direct result. If you look through the legislative notes of what Mr. Morris referenced in the public comment section with regard to the litigation that the City of Oklahoma City has been involved in for the last number of years.
Right.
And so while that was an astute observation, these are specifically identified to avoid that type of liability. And again, will comport with state law, so we'll have the protections of the state legislature there as opposed to being out on our own, having an ordinance that could potentially violate the civil rights of those individuals affected.
Right. I actually had the same question and met with our city manager this afternoon about that very thing. So she answered that to my satisfaction. So.
Yeah, can you maybe I had written down 3 things that I thought of. There's one of my favorite things to do when I go to Oklahoma City is to buy a curbside chronicle. I know there's no like active plans that but I would see that as potentially an outworking of our homeless project potentially. If I'm reading it correctly, we could permit that to happen.
Absolutely.
The other one, because there are some that are annoying and maybe not safe that work their way through intersections, and I think that's what we're trying to get away from. The other one I thought about was Fill the Boot, the firefighters campaign that they do.
Yep.
And the other one, lots of local youth groups and stuff have car washes.
Yep.
Are we good on all of those fronts?
Correct. It's really about tracking and making sure that the city and the various departments that would need to be aware are aware, and that those individuals conducting those activities have an understanding of the baseline rules associated with them for the health and safety not only of themselves but for motorists that may be affected by their activities.
So I think my question is maybe more to the city manager. Probably the number one thing I think about on this would be youth group car washes and stuff that stand probably combo of private property and right of way with their signs. Do we need to put out some education? Like, do those need to be permitted now?
Yes, those would need to be permitted if they are going to be advertising in right of way. And I think you're right.
I mean, it's challenging
Primarily
because where's
do,
the right
but-
of way and where's private? Like,
Right, but when you come in to the city, for those that are unaware, and say get a garage sale permit, you are given a list of the rules and regulations associated with that permit and sign off on that you'll follow those rules. I don't anticipate, and city manager will correct me if I'm wrong, that we would have anything different in this circumstance.
And just to clarify, we don't have garage sale permits any longer, is that?
That's correct, sir. That was a bad example.
No, but that wasn't my intention, but I just want to make sure we didn't
Yes.
make people think that we all of a sudden have reinstituted those.
But I think we need some education because lots of school groups, lots of church groups do car washes, and that's never, and my kids have participated in them. I've attended them, and it's never in the calculus of, oh, we've got to go get a permit for this.
Right.
Same thing with bake sales and individuals, things like that, you know, and the individuals like, say, you know, my brother's keeper that go door to door selling the awesome little loaves of banana bread, you know, which I know that's how they take care of their people, and that's a pretty intentional. You know, there's just a lot of things that are good that fall into this, that just want to make sure that we're not hurting somebody with this. I don't know. There needs to be a step next, I believe, you know, other than just saying, here's the rules and please don't break them, you know.
Commissioner, I think I'd have two comments to that, and I certainly don't disagree with you, and I think that those comments are well received by staff with regard to educating the public.
Yeah.
One, this is amending an existing ordinance that already carries a lot of these requirements that you're reading.
Right.
There's not significant changes here. These are just changes we're making to avoid the very situation that I think Mr. Morris was alluding to during public comment, so that we're in line with what the state has deemed to be an appropriate path forward.
Okay.
But it's not materially different than what's existed on the books for years. The second way I would respond to that is, unfortunately, there are bad actors out there that take advantage of this and create not only the potential for scams for unwitting public, but also create safety threats, particularly near and in roadways. And as a result, we have to respond to that. And so that's an unfortunate consideration that you guys have to make, but I think certainly one that's relevant here, and one that was thought through at the state level.
Okay. And the permitting process, is that something that they would have to go through planning, or where would that? No, how does that happen?
We don't designate within the ordinance. I don't think it would land in planning absent a designation in the code. I think that would just be administratively handled, and I defer to the city manager on that.
We have another permitting system just recently set up, and we'll see where we can find the best spot depending on employee capacities.
Okay. I just want individuals to know if I had a bake sale tomorrow, how in the world I would find my permit to make sure I was doing the right thing, you know.
And commissioners, in candor, this is an area where, yes, the state law goes into effect November 1st. Yes, my advice would be to be in compliance or comport with that law as soon as possible. But from an education standpoint, the practical matter is we're not writing citations for this. I think Chief can attest
Right.
to that.
Yeah.
There's a very low likelihood of any exposure to the city for this to have a longer runway for rollout to accommodate that education. Not very different from the one that we just passed that Commissioner Rutherford commented on, because I think that will have very practical applications for our police and for our court system.
Right.
I mean, I think we have to pass it to come in alignment with state law, but the workings out of, like, I mean, you're right, the visual of us getting a ticket to First Baptist Church trying to get to Haiti on a mission trip isn't a good one.
Yeah.
Because they didn't get a permit, like, and I know that's a long stretch from where we are, but I mean, I had no idea that apparently we should have been getting them
Yeah, this, as I read it, the old law was a lot more restrictive than the new law. At least that's how I
That's
was reading
accurate, yeah. Now, that doesn't mean that this isn't an excellent time to address that and educate, but yes, this is actually less restrictive as a result of that Oklahoma City litigation.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions for our city attorney while we have him still up here? It's mostly your show tonight, I think.
We need to stop making that the case.
Any other questions? Anyone want to make a motion?
I move to approve item 11.
Thank you, sir. Daniel and Darren. All righty, you are up again, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance amending Chapter 19, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Article 7, Pedestrian, Section 19-292 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Shawnee, so as to further comport with state law, Title 47, Oklahoma Statute, Section 11-507, providing for severability and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, sir. All righty, we have a motion and a second for approval of item 11. We will call the question. Yours didn't go for some reason. There we go. Item passes 5-0 now. We need the emergency clause.
Make a motion, we add an emergency clause to item 11.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
All righty, thank you. All right, we motion and a second on the emergency clause. We will vote on that. And that passes 5-0. So we're to item 12. Discussion and consideration of an ordinance amending portions of Chapter 8 of the Municipal Code regulating businesses, permits, and licenses within the city limits of the City of Shawnee. Mr. Vondern, one more time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioners, I would offer the same explanation and report as the previous 6 items and be happy to answer any specific questions.
Anybody got any questions on this one? Anyone have a motion on this one?
Move to approve.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
I think I heard Daniel down the end,
Yeah,
didn't I?
second.
All righty. So you're up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance amending portions of Chapter 8, Businesses, Permits, and Licenses of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Shawnee, so as to further comport with state law, Title 47, Section 11-507, providing for severability and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second for item 12 approval, so we will vote on that. And motion passes 5-0. Item 13, consider bids. We have a metal.
Do we need?
Up. Better do emergency clause. Let's skip over that.
Move to
All righty. Thank you, sir.
Second.
Aaron and Daniel. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the emergency clause, so we will call that question. And emergency clause passes 5-0. Item 13, consider bids. HOOEC metal roof restoration and installation removal and spray foam replacement project, Heart of Oklahoma Exposition Center, project number C21-03D. How are you, Katie?
I'm all right. How are you all this evening?
Doing wonderful.
As you know, on September 3rd, we put this out for bid. We received everything back on September 20th at 4 p.m. There was one qualified RFQ received. It was by Draper Construction and Commercial Roofing out of Oklahoma City. There were multiple pricings inside of this, so I'm going to kind of explain things a little bit.
Okay.
So warranty options were available for both of the options. So it was a foam and coatings, and then also it was a metal restoration. It was 10, 15, and 20-year options that we had. The metal restoration bid was priced at $496,862.07. That would just be for metal restoration. The foam and coatings option is more beneficial than a standard metal restoration due to condensation, among other details, and I will explain that. The coating will decrease the temperature in the barns up to 30 degrees in the summer, and then in the wintertime, the spray foam will be added in addition to our current insulation, which will also cover the current condition, because if you've been in the barns, you know what that looks like. It will save us up to 35% in utilities in the winter. So this would be a really great reduction in our cost for utilities in the wintertime. And then also in the summer, it's going to make it much more bearable for all of the shows that we have coming in currently, but also that we are bringing in, because we have more youth rodeos that we've booked, and they will be using our barns. So, although the original bid amount was for $782,208.56 for foam and coatings with a 10-year warranty, I'm requesting an authorization to award it to Draper Construction, but in the amount of $872,000, and $2.91, which includes the 15-year warranty. So this would be for the foam and coatings, which would decrease the temperature in the summertime, and it would act as a Yeti cooler in the wintertime to keep everything warm. And it would also come with a 15-year manufacturer warranty for all of the products.
So on the warranty, are we buying, I mean, is the process the same on the 10 and 15 year? We're just paying $90,000 for 5 more year warranty?
Yes, that's correct.
It's actually more mill thickness of the
So
coating.
it is thick.
So it is 3 layers of coating instead of just 2.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Have the professional here.
Yeah.
Does that come with the restoration, the metal restoration as well, or is the coating just the coating?
So the coating is actually, it's going to be in place of a metal restoration. So the coating is actually going to go over top of the roofs, and it's going to seal everything. And then from inside, we're going to have that insulation placed in, and that's going to seal from the inside.
Okay.
And that's going to be in addition to what we have. So it's going to be kind of double enforcement there.
Are there any areas where, and this would be something where you'd have to get it and look, I know that sometimes if the metal's in bad enough shape, putting foam on it's not going to do a lot of good. So have we made sure that there are not sections that need to be replaced?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Now, also with this coating, I have looked at this in the past, and honestly, this is kind of, I mean, this would really be a pipe dream under most circumstances. This coating is really fantastic. A lot of people actually use it on their barns to decrease the temperature. So it does make it a lot better for livestock and events. And we are booking more. So, and Fred is one of our most popular spots.
And the current stuff looks awful too. And so if we can make it, if we can make it look better, that would be even.
Agreed.
So.
Quite a bit of savings on utilities.
Yes.
No joke.
And your utilities per month are pretty staggering.
Yeah, our utility bills are a little high at times.
Yeah, you figure the
Yeah.
percentage of that on what you're going to spend here. There's some pretty substantial payback in the savings.
Yes, absolutely. I thought that was pretty significant.
Coating color white?
On the roof. Yeah.
And on your question about the metal, there are 15 big ridge vents still on top. And those are deteriorated and letting a lot of water in. So that's taking those off and putting new peak sheets. So there's 57 new peak sheets.
Okay.
There are 8 skylights that are destroyed in one of the small barns. And those are getting new 26 gauge metal put instead of those skylights before the process is done.
Okay.
So there's some metal replacement. I think there's 7,000 new screws. There's several things on it.
Okay.
He has thoroughly inspected the space, just so you all know. It's
If you have the lighting capability, doing away with skylights is a fantastic plan long term because they're terrible to maintain.
Yeah, we also, I mean, honestly, with this project, one of the reasons why the crossway bathroom or the breezeway bathrooms haven't been able to be brought back into commission is because of the roofs. Previous managers, I found out the reason why they didn't want to reopen those is because the roofs just constantly leaked and just poured into it. So we would like to open those back up. We actually have that on the plan to moving forward because that would give us more bathroom facilities for people for events that we have going on. So like this weekend, for example, I mean, we have Jurassic Quest in Fred Humphrey, but then we also have a dog show that's taking place in Otto. So for them to have a central located bathroom between the two would really be fantastic.
Any other questions?
Just talk dollars and cents, maybe, I don't know if this is Andrea or Finance. Do you guys want to weigh in on the cost and fund balances?
It's within the budget this year.
Okay. As long as y'all sign off.
Alrighty, any other questions? So no problem money-wise. That's good. Like a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid.
I'll
Thank you,
second.
sir. Mark and Travis, alrighty. So we will call the question. Very good, passes 5-0. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Appreciate all the, and thank you, sir, for
Do we have
being
a
here, all the information.
Start, finish dates?
Yes.
Do we have start, finish?
Start, finish.
So just like with the fence project, it
Mhm.
starts within 10 days and then it has to be completed, I believe, within 60. So it's, I need to double check.
Okay. Very good. Alrighty, so we moved to item 14, acknowledge monthly sales tax and budget reports. Jacob's gonna come up and give us awesome news, I hope.
Good evening.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Yes, sales tax came in well for this month of October. Year-to-date sales tax is approximately 6% above the year-to-date sales tax from prior year. And in the same manner, it is 17% above our projections that we had at the beginning of our year. And for the expenditures for the budget report, all of our funds, our largest fund, the general fund, is within budget. Being the first quarter, that's not unusual. If there's any questions, be happy to answer.
Did you say we were 17% above?
Projections, yes. Our initial projections were, conservative.
We went back to 2019 on those and was like 2% above 2019 or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. About 6% above last year. I mean, last year wasn't a bad year, so.
Right. Last year was a wonderful year, so
Yeah.
6% above that is very good.
That's good.
This also kind of debunks the stimulus money idea. Some people are saying that the only reason that we're, coming out on the top side was because of all the stimulus checks that people are getting, and we haven't gotten any of those in a while, and we're still spending money in the
Right.
city, and that's pretty amazing. And so it's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Keep bringing good news. All righty, we'll move on to item 15, administrative report. And our city manager has a report for us. How are you, ma'am?
I am doing great. Just to go back to something that was just talked about, the idea behind more sales tax is people are still traveling less because of COVID-19 and therefore have more income to put towards sales. So it'll be interesting to see the analysis of all of those numbers ultimately.
Whatever it
But
is, we just hope they keep bringing it.
I know. I love those numbers. My administrative report this evening is really concerned with homelessness and particularly because we recently lost our homelessness coordinator. And the assistant city manager and I have been getting all caught up to speed on everything that had happened to date. As you all know, homelessness affects several major groups within the community, and that, of course, includes our citizens, the businesses, the service providers, and the homelessness population itself. All in all, a comprehensive homelessness crisis response really includes multiple components. Prevention and diversion, preserving current housing situations through programs that prevent eviction, preventing homelessness by finding alternative housing solutions, coordinated entry, the process which really turns to identifying and assessing and referring those who have already experienced homelessness to the appropriate resources, outreach, connecting them, and pointing them to where the resources are and moving those folks into the right level of housing. And there are several levels of housing assistance that come into play. It is not just emergency shelters, it is interim housing, and then of course permanent housing as well, whether that is permanently supported or permanent housing otherwise. And as part of the comprehensive homelessness crisis response, we cannot forget about mitigation efforts to the community, whether that is neighborhoods, whether that is our parks, or whether that is our businesses. And I really appreciate the comments that were made earlier about the shopping carts. And you may have noticed that we did not have a shopping cart ordinance on the agenda this time, because we really want to fold this into the larger homelessness initiative, because there are things that need to be weighed in terms of where do we draw the line in terms of theft of the shopping carts, and where do we want to bring in the resources to help those in need and homelessness. I mean, that has been an increasing need since 2008. It's just been getting worse. I've seen it in other communities. Shawnee is not the only city facing this particular crisis. So in consideration of all of these aspects, we would like to have a larger discussion, a larger work session with the commissioners, where we can not just talk about the shopping cart ordinance, but where we can talk about that comprehensive homelessness initiative, the response that we as a city would like to provide. And staff would like to work with all of you to finalize a date for such a work session. I know that the last time the City Commission had a work session, it's been 2017. Thank you, Lisa, for the research. So it's been quite a while since we've done this, but I think this is one of those topics where all of us coming together and being able to discuss it in more detail than just as part of the agenda would really work in our favor.
Absolutely.
I'd be happy to answer any comments or questions you have.
Questions, comments?
And I just want to reiterate this, and I think that you spoke to this, but we're currently seeking clarification on the application process for finding a new homelessness coordinator, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We've already picked up all of the pieces for the grants, because we have awarded grants, and we did not want to fall behind of reporting requirements and other requirements that come along with those. Right. Just simply because those are regular granting partners the city works with, and we do not want to get on their bad side ever.
No.
Okay.
Don't.
And it's my understanding from your communication with us that the homeless efforts are running through your office currently?
That is correct. Jacob Foos, our assistant city manager, and I are working on this together until we get the homelessness coordinator position filled.
Yep. And that application, is it online yet, or?
No.
I didn't think it was, but I knew
I have
the
asked
plan was to be soon.
I have asked our brand new CDBG coordinator to look through the job description one more time to make sure that there's not something that we may have missed.
Right.
And then we will advertise.
Yep. That's good. I'm glad that we're continuing to take a very holistic look at this, because you can't solve it any other way. Anybody got anything else? All we've got her here. I guess not. Thank you for the update. All righty. Item 16, new business. Do we have any new business?
No new business.
No new business. All righty. We will do commissioners' comments, and we start down your end this week.
Sure. Appreciate city manager's comments and her update there. I think the holistic approach is a good approach to take, and so I'm excited to get to that work session. And quickly wanted to mention something to Katie. I mentioned it to her privately, but thought this is a good venue to say it. Had someone associated with the fair call me and say that it was the best fair experience they've had in several years. So Katie, thank you and your team for all you're doing to make that a great event for so many. Excited about the roof and the fence. The fence at previous meeting and the roof hopefully make a big difference out there as we begin to really make some steps. Would like to city manager's office and finance can work with on, now we've taken these, what's our next project? I know Mr. Morris mentioned the depot. Would like to see that not necessarily the depot, but whatever we identify as next, and maybe it is the depot, we look at what's next and how are we going to get there, because those projects mean a lot to a lot of people, and really show that we're making good on our.
To see the projects moving forward at the expo, and just like was stated, there are projects that we've said we were going to do, and I know that there's some that have been on the books for a while, and if there's something that is keeping them from being the next one, if we can let the public know what that is, I think that would be it may be something simple, it may be a big deal, I don't know, but I know that there are some things that we've had on the books for a while, and if it's something that we can explain, then I think that we should do our best to do that. Ma'am, the lady that worked at Dollar Tree, and I don't remember her name, but I just want to say thank you for sharing your comments and finding the strength to come up here and speak to us. I always appreciate individuals coming and doing that. Mr. Morris, as far as the different organizations, different ordinances go, and I believe that Mr. City Attorney, as best as he could, said that those were things that were state mandates that we were just basically trying to stay in accordance with what the state was done, and that they were already, I don't know if they were not necessarily out of our control, but being out of compliance with the state is not something I think that we as a city want to or should do, even if there's some things that are hard to swallow. Let's see, trying to think of something else on here. Thank you again to the staff for being amazing. Every day I get more excited about the future and where we're going. Thank you, Brad, for the presentation. I think that that's something that any time that we can be more efficient and more intentional about how we do things, especially with individuals working so hard, I would a lot rather have you stopping a line that's leaking thousands of gallons per minute versus trying to figure out how to file the right paperwork for different things. And me being a anti-paperwork guy, I kind of think that might be something that you also enjoy. And I think also too, we're having conversations in the past about in those moments when your focus is 100% on fixing the problem, stopping and checking the right box to say, I got this valve out of this spot and I'm going to put a new one back. That seems kind of silly when you got people in a bad way and you're trying to fix that. And so having a system that will do that for us is pretty impressive. Let's see, one more thing. Had some fantastic conversations with some of our amazing folks in the community, and I look forward and continue to love all those, and hope to be able to try and be as much as I can to reach out to people and talk to people. If there's something that the people of my ward or individual, whether you're one or not, if you know my phone number, call me. I would love to sit down and talk with you. Had one of those was some of our fantastic folks from our Dunbar Heights community group. They're having a bean dinner Saturday, October the 23rd from 11 to 2 at the Shawnee Community Center, and that's off of South Park. And they wanted me to assure you guys that there will be more than beans, and knowing the fantastic, amazing families that are cooking and being part of that would be something that they would love to have anybody from Shawnee come and hang out and meet some new friends and eat a good meal, and those are just some of the awesome things that sometimes fall through the cracks of our amazing city. And these folks have been doing this for how many years, Mr. Young? How many? 10 years. That's something that, goodness gracious, I mean, my kid's just barely over 10 years old, so that's wild. So anyways, so that's what I got. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Jacob, thank you for the good report. We like good news. Katie, appreciate the things that you've got going on at the expo. That's going to make a lot of difference in how it looks and functions, and that's good that we're getting that on track and getting it done. Brad, thank you for your presentation. Appreciate the research you did on that. When you said that was kind of designed from, it wasn't designed by these guys, it was designed by the guys that are doing the work and kind of done from there up. That usually works very well.
Yep.
For everyone. So I'm glad you found that system where we're going to implement that. It's not the new pretty shiny truck stuff that's kind of cool that everyone sees, but it's the things that make it work. So thank you for your presentation on that. That's all I can.
That's all you got? First thing, sales tax report, hopefully it keeps on that track. It's been like this for quite some time, so, that outlook looks really good long term. Brad, putting that together for City Works, on my side is more so the maintenance and keeping up with repairs and figuring out when to discard items and keep new equipment or functional equipment. We're not throwing money at it just to keep it going. So I think that's going to be a valuable asset and save us long-term money-wise and have nice equipment to work with. Joe, putting all that stuff together was a pain, I'm sure, but at least we got everything cleaned up. That's about all I got.
Alrighty, thank you guys. You guys have covered a lot of ground, so I'm not going to try to cover it again, but lots of good stuff tonight, a lot of progress. Bike ordinances, if you read through them, you could tell one of them, I can't even believe some of these we were talking about. It was, can't throw stuff at people on a bike. I cannot believe that we even had to discuss that, but there it was. And then the other one was when you're passing someone on a bike, you can't honk your horn, try to scare them to death. And that's all that basically those two things were. And but anyway, this state law changed and we had to come in compliance, and that's all that was. So, but lots of good things. I appreciate city manager's administrative update. Hopefully we keep doing those. I think that was very informative and answered a lot of questions. We had a question about the Lake Committee, and my understanding is those are public meetings. I mean, they're not posted like this meeting is, but they're public in that folks can attend those. But you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my understanding. And
Mr. Mayor, not necessarily wrong, but because they're
Yep.
a committee and they're a committee that's
Right.
not been designated under the charter with any decision-making authority or a budget,
Mhm.
the meetings are not technically public. They are not posted.
Yeah.
The meetings have occurred in public spaces.
Right.
But in full candor to the commission, for those that aren't on the committee, there's communications that take place via email.
Sure.
And things of that nature, so that the committee can do its work to bring those recommendations, which will be made public, and then any action would be public as voted on by this commission.
Absolutely. So, those are all held in compliance with the law, so, so, I don't know that I have anything else. I think we've covered most of it. So we will adjourn and we will move on to, my goodness, we have a lot of pages here. Turn mine over. Okay, the Airport Authority. So item 1 is consider approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, sir. So, Darren and Daniel. All righty, so we have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda. And that passes 5-0. Any new business?
No new business.
Thank you, ma'am. We are adjourned and we'll move on to Municipal Authority. Consider approval of that consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Daniel and Darren. All right, we have a motion and a second for approval of item 1. that passes 5-0. Any new business?
No new business.
Thank you, ma'am. We are adjourned. Do not forget, there are cookies back there. I think they're still back there. Eat them up, because we don't want to take them home. Thank you for coming tonight.
No, I got it wrong.